This is Haymaker Combat Sports. Hear it here, coming straight from the source. Only with the real, they ain't here to dress it up. Sweet science, MMA, you can get it all from us. Trust, 5 stars cause it's live. And through the fight game, we can guide ya. Slick talking, putting them in caution. Passing all the goals cause the audio is awesome. What you waiting for? Spread the word, tell a friend. This the podcast where all of the discussion ends. When they start going strike for strike, this the show that'll tell you what you seen in the fight. And they ain't playing on the mic, this a welcome to the show. Warm it up for the squad, Haymaker of the bros. I'm about wow, you can hear from the pros. It's Haymaker Combat Sports, time to roll.
Welcome back to Haymaker Combat Sports. I am your host, EJ Reed, joined by my fellow hosts, Aaron Admeyer, Steve Johnson, and we got producer J Bomb behind the scenes. What's up, fellas?
Hey, it's Friday Eve. Here we are.
Yeah, man. Friday Eve, holidays right around the corner. You know, it's the best time of the year, man, especially for Thanksgiving. That's my favorite holiday. I'm a fat kid inside, deep down inside.
Yeah, it's always a good time.
So, we had some fights this past weekend. UFC 295. Pretty eventful card with the stakes that were online, especially the main card. We had a lot of finishes.
Finishes.
Yeah, tell me about it. Before we get to the main cards, we want to list off some of the results from the early prelims and the prelims. You had Jamal Emmers defeating Dennis Bazooka by TKO first round. You had Joshua Van defeating Kevin Borjas by unanimous decision. John Castaneda defeating Kai Hung Kang by unanimous decision. Then you had Jared Gordon defeating Mark Manson by TKO in the first round. Then to the regular prelims, you had Nazim Sadikov defeating Vyacheslav Borishev by majority draw, which you don't see a lot of those. And you had Mateusz Rebecki defeating Roosevelt Roberts by submission in the first round. You had Lupe Godinez defeating Tabitha Ricci by split decision. And then you had Steve Erceg defeating Alexandro Costa by unanimous decision. Fellas, did y'all get a chance to watch any of the prelims?
I saw the main one on the prelims. It was a good back and forth fight. It was okay. Nothing too spectacular.
The only thing I saw was the Tabitha Ricci versus Lupe Godinez.
Oh yeah, how'd that fight go down?
It was pretty good. Of course, Godinez, I'm assuming she was getting the upper hand, but it definitely was a back and forth fight.
What happened with the scoring on that one? Because on the main card they mentioned something about the scoring and Lupe. I don't know what it was.
I'm not quite sure because I caught the fight but probably didn't catch the after the fight. But yeah, definitely I see it was a decision split. It was a close fight.
I think it was Joe Rogan saying something that Lupe should have had the majority decision. He made it sound like it. I think he made it sound like it was kind of one-sided, and it ended up being a split. So basically, the commentary team, I think they were just alluding to, I hope the judges don't ruin any fights tonight after that score.
Right. I'm looking at it. It said, let's see, Tabitha had 91 and Godinez had 101. 84 significant strikes for Tabitha, and Godinez, it was 98. So give or take in between the judges, what they saw, I guess that's what they got between the three judges.
Did you think it was controversial?
I didn't think, like I said, I would think Godinez would win, but I wouldn't think it was enough for an argument. for making a big hysteria about it.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to watch any of the prelims this time, but I got it downloaded, so I'll probably watch it on my flight and take a look at that and see what all the big deal is. But you hear Lupi, you hear her name a lot. Are you familiar with her, Admire?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know Steve is. What do y'all see her ceiling as? Because there's a lot of hype behind her.
Well, let me pull up her record and just take a look at her.
Yeah, I was about to ask her where is she in the rankings also.
I'm not 100% sure if she's ranked at this moment. She maybe, if she is, it'd be like 15 through 10, something like that.
She's ranked number 11 in the straw weight.
That's what I thought. But you hear her name thrown out a lot, and I was just wondering her ceiling as right now.
I don't know. She might be kind of that gatekeeper area, possibly. I mean, she's got a lot of wins. She has a couple losses. Like she lost to Angela Hill, one of my favorite fighters. She lost to Carolina and Jessica Pine. But I mean, other than that, that's her 3 losses. But I don't know. That women's strawweight is so it seems like any one of them can win on any given night almost once you get into that top 10. You know, they kind of all change spots, and sometimes the ones you think are going to win don't. So I don't know. On the right night, she could probably get up there and beat somebody, you know, that's 5 to 10 and, you know, make her jump up there.
I would totally agree. Since you said those Carolina defeats, Angela Hill, which she's a good fighter also, but I see Angela would struggle within the 5 and top 10. I would think she would be exactly that. And I think next time we fight, I think she would be exactly in the area of 10, 8, or maybe 7.
So, Admire, you still have those strawweight rankings in front of you?
I can pull them up real quick.
Because I remember you just said she is at a number 11. If you pull them up real quick, can you reel off number 10 through 6?
Yeah, let me get down here. Straw weight 10 through 6. We got Amanda Ribas. Lupi is 11. Tabitha Ricci was 12. Angela Hill at 13. Carolina at 14, and Michelle Watterson, the karate hottie, at 15.
What about 9, 8, 7, 6?
You got Luana Pinheiro at 9, Mackenzie Dern at 8, which I'd like to see that Dern fight, actually.
That's what I was about to say. After we'll get into that later. But you said Dern is number 8 or 7?
Yeah, Dern is 8. Marina Rodriguez at 7. Verna has 6, and Andrade at 5.
Ooh, so I think I'm with you. I think I'd like to see Lupi get in there with Mackenzie Dern. Like I said, we'll get into that a little bit later.
Yeah, but, I think Dern needs to fight somebody that's, you know, pretty much behind her because of what we're going to talk about, and I think Lupi needs to fight somebody ahead of her to see if she's the real deal. So I think that's a perfect match that makes sense. And I think they're both on the same timeline. You know, they both fought this weekend, so they should both be ready to go in a few months.
Yeah, for sure. That makes perfect sense. But that's a good segue into getting into the main card. Let's get into it, fellas. So with the curtain jerker with this one, we had Diego Lopez defeating Pat Sabatini KO first round. So Sabatini came out aggressive and pushed to action. And about halfway through the round, Lopez clipped Sabatini. Sabatini tried to panic wrestle, but Lopez did some like interesting hip toss and then cracked him with a right and finished him with ground and pound. What are y'all thoughts on this fight, fellas?
I thought Diego Lopez looked really good in that fight. He looked pretty big for his weight. He looked really good. I'd like to see him take a big jump up in competition too to see if he's the real deal. He had a lot of energy in that fight. You know, like you said, Sabatini was kind of pushing the action, but you know, Lopez, it seemed like I think he got caught with a left, and it kind of like switched his gears, and Lopez just went into high energy.
Steve,
I honestly, visually, they can't remember these fights. I honestly watching, but I just can't remember play by play what it is. And I remember the next one, Matt Favela and Benoit, St. Denis. But yeah, I can't recall this, but the only thing I do recall is the ring a bell of his name, Diego Lopez, the last podcast we were on, and I'm glad everything else I may have got everything wrong.
And Lopez was rocking a mean mullet.
oh yeah, rocking the mullet.
Mhm.
Admire, I don't know if you can look this up real quick. Lopez is a part of a pretty well-known camp. I just can't recall it off the top of my head, the fight camp that he's with. Because I want to say he came in on short notice on his first fight and lost, but then bounced back with a pretty impressive win. He's Brazilian.
Sabatini was his last fight.
Yeah. He just fought 17 on the 295 card this past weekend.
Before that, he won by submission against Tucker. Before that, he lost to Evlo.
Yeah, and it was a pretty close decision, but I'm trying to think of who he trains with. I want to say maybe the Grasso camp, Alexandra Grasso, maybe in Mexico.
I'm not finding a Wikipedia on him, so I'm looking at his ESPN profile. It doesn't really say, but I know he's Brazilian. But I think when they announced him, they said he was fighting out of Mexico, so he trains with somebody in Mexico. I know that.
I want to say it's the Alexander Grasso camp, which is a good camp because they got a bantamweight contender in there as well. So, yeah, man. How old is he? I want to say he's mid-20s, maybe.
28 years old.
So he's late 20s. I mean,
fighting out of Lobo Gym.
He could. I don't know. We'll consider him a gatekeeper this early, but I don't know what his ceiling is. He might be one of those like action fighters where you just like to see him put on some bang, like an Edson Barbosa type fighter where, you know, he might not get the title, but he's going to put on some fun, exciting fights you would like to see. So,
yeah.
Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, like I said, he's very big for that weight class, featherweight. He's 5'11".
Yeah.
That's pretty tall for that weight.
You're starting to see a lot of these taller, lanky fighters in the smaller weight division. Like, I want to say I saw a flyweight 125er that was like 5'10", 5'11". That's like, how do you even get down to that? You just naturally sticks and bones, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I was telling my girl as we were watching it. I was like, I'm like 5'6". These dudes got like 6 inches on me, but I got 75 pounds on them. Like that's a huge despair.
Usually when you're talking about having 6 inches on somebody, it's usually not a good thing. But I don't get it. I mean, I guess it's bone density and just natural slenderness, man. I'm about 5'10", 5'11" on a good day, and I would not be able to get down to what 155 cut would be a struggle for me. So some of these guys, 135, 145, I'm like, man. But
yeah.
You know, when you weigh that much, you know, you're giving up usually some strength. You got the length, but you're usually giving up some strength.
Yeah, I'd like to know what his walk around weight is. You know, if he's getting down there to featherweight, he probably walks around at like 170.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's probably about the ballpark.
I think Aljamain said he walks around about that 170.
And Aljamain is 135, so this guy might walk 180 at max.
Yeah, 180.
That's probably the very max. But like I said, usually those lanky guys, you don't really see a lot of KO power outside of like a O'Malley. That's surprising that he's able to knock people out like that, him being such like a string bean.
Yeah.
I guess some of that is technique because remember when Connor was down there, he was like, "It's all precision."
Yep, that's what I was gonna say. Technique and precision.
But yeah, we'll keep an eye out on what Lopez does in the future. Let's get into this next fight, though, fellas. We had Benoit Saint Denis defeating Matt Frizzola by KO head kick. And both guys came out with kicks in that first round. And then Frizzola got that big takedown. And then Benoit got up immediately, kicked him in the head, and it was over. What were your thoughts on this fight?
That Benoit Saint Denis, he looked real good. Frizzola actually took him down, and then he reversed it on the ground. I mean, he tossed that dude very well. You know, I don't know if it's the French connection in my head, but he really looked a lot like GSP, like with his strength for being that size and his wrestling, his ability to reverse that. He even tried to pull like a standing guillotine and fell down, and that's how Frizzola ended up on top. But then that kick after they scrambled, I mean, it instantly busted that dude's eye open. He was bleeding before he even hit the ground. I mean, it was nasty.
Steve?
Definitely. I thought it was going to be one of these back and forth transition fights, and I always love the stand up. And I'm like, okay, they about to stand up, and like you said, hit him with that head kick, and if I'm not mistaken, it was a deep gash, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, it was a big gash. He caught him right there on the corner of that bone right there, and I mean, like I said, it was bleeding before he hit the ground, and I mean, he was out cold.
Yeah, I can watch certain amount of cuts, but if it looks too open, man, I have to look away. But definitely, he shows potential. I would like to know if he is even ranked. But I think definitely he showed viciousness on wanting even getting that kickoff too. He's a good fighter to end fights, as we saw in this fight.
Yeah, and after this fight, I was like, damn, this is going to be a quick card because that first fight with Diego Lopez only went a minute and a half, and then this fight went a minute and 31 seconds. I was like, wow, man, we're going to burn through this card.
Mm-hmm. I think there was a long commercial periods too where it said to be stand by or something. It was so short in between those fights.
Yeah, it's kind of a good thing. I hate long, drawn out fights where you have a lot of decisions and not a lot of action, but it's kind of like a catch-22. You got the quick finishes, the card's going to be done earlier tonight, but that could be a good thing, especially if you're on the East Coast. We're all in the Midwest, so when the fight gets drawn out a little longer, it doesn't affect us as much as East Coast, but I hate being up at like midnight and the car's still going on. At my old age, I've been falling asleep sometimes during the main event, which I don't like to admit, but then I'll have to watch it the next day and avoid spoilers. But yeah, like I might say, these fights were flying by fast. But going back to Saint Denis, this is his fifth finish in a row. Where do y'all see this guy going in the future?
I mean, he's getting up there. He jumped up to number 11 in the lightweight division after that win. So I mean, he's getting up there to where he's going to be fighting some decent names. Somebody like a RDA or a Dan Hooker, Fizev, something like that. Okay. I think the dude's got a great future. I mean, I made the GSP comparison. I mean, the guy, from what I've seen so far, he can kind of do it all. He's got a lot of power. He's got a lot of submissions to his name. I mean, he's well versed in all areas of MMA. So I mean, I think the guy's got a pretty high ceiling.
I would say the same. I mean, he had an impressive win, but now that I'm looking at his fight wins, I guess he has let's see, 1, 2. He only has a 4, 5, 6, 5 win streak. So I think, and I don't think the wins to me are that as impressive. but he had an impressive win. I think it's fair enough to make him graze the top 10, at least 10. I wouldn't even give him anything more than that because he hasn't, from my I see, he hasn't fought anybody significant to even get somebody or have enough significant wins like that. Although he does have 2 KOs in a row, 3. Out of those 5, almost like half of those are submission.
Yeah, he has 2
KO.
submissions and 3 KOs. The dude's on a pretty good run.
Yeah, definitely KO run. I want to see him with at least a skill of the top 10, maybe 9.
Yeah, that's why I threw out RDA, because the RDA I think is ranked like number 10.
Man, y'all trying to throw this guy out to the wolves, huh?
I mean, RDA, this ain't the same RDA that was, holding the belt back in the day. RDA's had his share of, ups and downs in the last few years, but I think that's a good test. I mean, he's pretty well versed himself, and can kind of win the fight anywhere as well. So I think that would be a good matchup to see if this guy can move up, because I think RDA's kind of earned that gatekeeper status at this point.
And I wouldn't mind seeing him go up against the top 10, but we all know Shark Tank that lightweight is. So I think you got to kind of ease him in the water, because like this guy's pretty young, isn't he? So, like early 30s, maybe late 20s, I want to say. St. Denis.
He is 27.
Okay, so yeah, that's relatively young in that lightweight division. Like I said, it's a Shark Tank. So RDA, he's older, but like he will like put it on a young, inexperienced fighter if he catches him in the right situation. So I would feel like I think that'd be a toss-up who win that. But I think if you're the UFC and you're maybe trying to build that fan base in France, that's where the guy's from, you might want to ease him into the waters a little bit and maybe give him a top 15 first before you give him a top 10.
Well, I mean, the other fight that kind of had my interest is he's ranked number 11 now, and you got Bobby Green sitting at number 13. And I think that would be a good matchup.
Ooh. Was Farola ranked?
No.
He might not be ranked now. I wonder was he ranked going into the fight?
I don't know. I'm not sure what he was ranked going into it, but I don't have him on the top 15 right now. I mean, behind him at 12, you got Jalen Turner, 13, Bobby Green, number 14, Renato, and number 15, Drew Dober.
Give him Bobby Green, man.
That's what I'm saying. I think if he's going to fight somebody behind him, I think you got to go with Bobby Green.
That would be good. Or Jalen Turner was on a good run, and they're about to promote him, and then he got his loss, which actually was a good battle, wasn't it? Like a good war, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He can do that one. I'll be interested in that one.
Yeah, I don't think you could go wrong with either Jalen Turner or Bobby Green. Like Steve was saying, Jalen Turner was on a pretty good win streak before he lost. Well, now he's on a 2-fight slide. He lost to Gamrot and Dan Hooker. Before that, he was on that 5-fight win streak and finishing them all. Beat Riddle and Medic and Weaver, Malarkey. So Gamrot, we all know how tough a fight Gamrot is. So can't really fault him for that. That Hooker loss, a little shaky because Hooker's been up and down, but it was a split decision, and the Gamrot was a split decision, so it's not like he got washed in it, like you said, Steve. So yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing St. Denis against Jalen Turner or Bobby Green, but he's definitely an action fighter. So whoever they put him in there with next, I'm gonna be looking forward to that.
And that fight makes sense for Bobby Green too. Bobby Green's won 2 in a row. So he's looking to move up. So I think that's the fight to make.
Yeah, book it. We're doing all the work for you, Sean Shelby. Book that fight. Let's get into this next fight, fellas. We had Jessica Andrade defeating Mackenzie Dern by TKO in the second round. So in round 1, Dern got that headlock takedown that was interesting. I never really seen a lot of takedowns like that head lock takedown she got, but didn't secure the position at all. And then for the whole fight, but especially in the first round, Dern with these wild flurries. And then she got clipped with a little less than 2 minutes left in the round. And then Andrade dropped Dern with a huge right with less than 10 seconds left. And I'm like, uh-oh, it's looking like the beginning of the end. Then we go to round 2, and then halfway through the round, Andrade dropped Dern with a leg hook. Dern got back up. She cracked Andrade a little bit, but then Andrade dropped her with that right hook. And then Dern got back up for a third time and then got finished with that straight right. And then it was good night, Irene, for not just Andrade, for Mackenzie Dern. What were your thoughts on this fight, fellas?
So they touched on it a lot during the fight, and Mackenzie Dern got rid of her striking coach before this camp. So I can't remember who it was, but he's a highly rated striking coach. And Dern, that whole fight, she looked like Ronda Rousey trying to box. She had her chin up every time, and I mean, she was just putting it out there. She, when they're standing there, she had her chin out, but when she would throw something, she would put her chin straight up in the air, just putting it out there. And Andrade was finding it so often, like you could tell by the 4 knockdowns in the fight. I mean, she wasn't having a hard time. I think we all picked Dern going into this and thought that Dern was going to be able to control this, but getting rid of her striking coach shows that was not the move, man, because her striking was atrocious and her striking defense was even worse.
I don't think I picked Andrade.
No, you didn't. No, you did.
No, I did. I mean, yeah.
Andrade.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll get into that a little later. Steve, what were your thoughts on this fight?
Definitely. Before she got cracked, she, I guess it was working for her, but like Admire said, she would throw multiple combinations, and to me, not only her head was up, she wasn't stepping off the center line or anything, or leg movement to set up, and I wasn't surprised, and I'll give Dern this. I didn't think she would have that much of a chin to get cracked that many times and to get back up. I didn't know she fired her striking coach. And I think if I remember the commentary, I think Joe Rogan, and I can agree with him, her striking regressed from her last fight as far as striking. And I can't remember the last person she fought, but I know it didn't look that terrible for her to get caught. She seems like she's more technical.
Yeah. Yeah. That seems like a foolish move, her firing her striking coach. Mm-hmm. Like both of y'all just said, she didn't look as sharp as she has in previous fights, and she's never been known for her hands. She's always been a high-level black belt jiu-jitsu type of fighter, but her hands were getting better. And I don't know, Admire, did you say the coach's name? I can't remember off the top of my head, but she needs to go back and rehire him.
I'm reading here, just trying to catch up with why. She left Black House MMA after an incident concerning her original coach, Juan Gomez, after he got into an altercation with her husband over a disagreement about money.
We all know what happens when money gets involved. That can change things drastically. Yeah. But, I mean, they need to just get over it. She's not even married anymore. She's divorced, so they should probably, put that underneath the bridge, put that order underneath the bridge, because her striking didn't look as sharp. I'm going to be a little nice because people were dragging her on X or Twitter, or whatever you want to call it, how bad she looked in the striking department. But you could always polish that up, though, because we know she has it in her. It's just muscle memory. And when you fire a coach, you don't have somebody in there drilling that into you every day like you were, especially the high-level coach that she had. And like you said, sometimes it's the Rousey effect. You have yes people behind the scenes saying that you're the best striking, maybe that's what happened in behind the scenes. They were telling her she's better than she was, and not having that coach, and she fucked around and found out with Andrade. Because even though Andrade was on that losing streak, she's still one of the heaviest punchers in all of women's MMA. So you don't want to play around with that. But Dern, she was kind of like a woman that UFC is banking on, for reasons where we all know it's probably because she's a good-looking woman. So a lot of times they like promoting those and like shooting them to the top. So she pretty much took a step back. We talked about earlier, I guess, what will be next for her, maybe like a loopy fight.
Yeah, that would probably make the most sense for me for Dern next. I was just looking at the rankings. I'm like, what do you do with Andrade? I mean, she's fought everybody. Like,
Yeah,
you're going to see some kind of run back with her because she's just been around, for so long and fought everybody. She's been in the UFC since 2013. And she's been in the top 10 the whole time.
well, I have a couple ideas for her. But Steve, what do you think is next for Dern before we get into Andrade?
Well, I can imagine it seems like if she gets around that area of 8-7, I think maybe she will always have a test of maybe not be able to clear that. Andrade, she's on her downside of used to being the elite, although I give her credit for she got the title. Some people say it was a fluke, but she is a previous champion, and she hasn't been on the good look of wins lately, and think been getting beat by newcomers. I don't want to Miss Yomi is her name. Did she get beat by her?
Who Andrade?
Yeah, the last
No, the last loss.
Her last loss was Suarez.
Yeah, and she did get beat by Zhao Nan.
yeah, saying she's starting to get beaten by newcomers, and if Dern can't beat Andrade, I think she has to see some key patterns to work on. She has the striking, she just doesn't have she needs to know and assess herself, not get hyped up, because to me, looking at her, she doesn't have that sting to make her boxing a primary asset. Use it to sting somebody, get in to get a single leg. Maybe she's still growing as a fighter, because I don't think she has it all collectively for her to go out like that and you didn't get your main feng shui off as far as her jiu-jitsu.
True. So Admai touched on it a little bit earlier. Jessica Andrade, she has taken some L's lately, but she got this win over Dern. But she's a fighter that pretty much fight in all the divisions except for, I guess, the non-existent featherweight division, because I guess they're just going to retire that belt because it wasn't really a division. But she's fought at bantamweight before. She fought at flyweight. Of course, she just returned to strawweight a few fights ago. Admai, do you have any ideas? Because I think I know what I want her to do after this fight.
Man, she's just fought everybody, and her and Dern were pretty closely in the rankings. Man, who do you have her going against next?
Well, I think she should go back to flyweight. She's only got 2 losses in that division, and the losses were in a title fight to Shevchenko, and to Blanchfield, we know is a up-and-comer. She's got a lot more losses in that strawweight division and lost to a lot of big names, but Yama Nunes, even though Yama Nunes moved up. Wei Lee, she got a loss against Wei Lee, got a loss against Zhao Nan, who they're pushing, Suarez. So I think her best bet is go back up to flyweight, and we got a new champion in there, Grasso. She only lost to Blanchfield and Shevchenko. Shevchenko just lost the draw to Grasso. So with a big win, I can see they're throwing her in there with Grasso. If she gets one win at flyweight. But if like Blanchfield gets the title, she might be out of luck. She just lost to Blanchfield not too long ago. But I don't know.
I might be wrong, but besides her losses to these new people in the division that aren't so much popular, I'm looking at it, and before her losses, she was winning against a lot of newcomers. I think she's on her, like you said, her downfall of the bantamweight.
She hadn't fought in bantamweight in a long time. Bantamweight, that's the Ronda Rousey division. She's been strawweight is where she took a lot of L's.
Yeah, my bad. Strawweight. This is what I'm looking at, and it's a bunch like Murphy, Lemos, Cavillo, and some of these people have been having a small run, but they're not having it significant. As soon as they get to somebody, they're falling off and not winning. Like you said, I think Andrade is strawweight.
So I think in the flyweight, there's somebody in the top 3 that she has not faced yet. That Manon Fiorot.
Oh yeah, she hadn't faced her yet.
And Fiorot's ranked at number 3, and that's the only person that she hasn't fought. So I mean, make that fight happen, and that's kind of like a number 1 contenders fight almost.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that. And the last time she fought in bantamweight was in 2015. She lost to Rocky Pennington, who I think has a title fight for that vacant title. So she might be a little undersized, but if flyweight doesn't work out, maybe go back up to bantamweight. I mean, not bantamweight. Yeah, bantamweight. Oh. So I mean, who's in that division? Kind of like a shit show now that Amanda has left the division and she retired.
There's some good fights for her up there at women's bantamweight too, like Holly Holm or Irene.
And then who is it for the Vega title? I think it's Rocky Pennington versus
Juliana Pena.
No, Pena's not in the fight. It is against.
Is it Holly Holm?
Myra Bueno Silva, UFC 297.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So you get a win or two there, you might get a title shot at bantamweight. And I don't know what's going on with Pena. I don't know why they didn't put her in that fight. I'm sure she'll be the winner of that. That fight kind of reminds me when that featherweight title was vacant and they had like Holly Holm versus I think it might have been the debut. What was the woman's name who got that vacant? That fight was terrible with Holly Holm for that vacant featherweight title. Gosh, her name is missing me.
It was
Jermaine Durandamy. I didn't have to look it up. The name just popped up in my head all of a sudden. Yeah, that Rocky Pennington fight versus Silva. That's what reminds me of that. Like, I feel like I don't know if these two really deserve it like that, but you got to give the title to somebody. And I feel like Pena was like Cyborg in this situation. Like, we knew the winner of that featherweight title would probably eventually lose to Cyborg. I feel like that's how it is with Pena for the winner of this vacant title fight. So, yeah, but Andrade, she has options now. She definitely needed that win. That would have been like her 5th fight in a row that she lost. I don't know if you still have it up on your screen, Admire.
That would have been 4 for Andrade.
I think she does a lot of favors for the UFC, so I don't know if she would have got cut after that, but if she would have took
her stock would have been low.
Yeah, her stock would have been low, and
plus she's a previous champion, so that's probably what's saving her too.
Yeah, but I don't know. Anything's possible with the UFC. Didn't Sam Alvey had like 7 losses in a row, was still employed for a while. You never know. This depends on what side of the bed Dana White wakes up on,
Yeah.
depending on whether you keep your job or not. But let's get into this co-main event, fellas. We had Tom Aspinall defeating Sergey Pavlovich by KO in the first round. So Tom came out with that leg kick, and Sergey cracked Tom. And then after he felt that, Tom was circling around. And then Tom cracked Sergey with that overhand right, hit a 1-2 for good measure, and then a couple unnecessary hammer fists on the ground. And Tom Aspinall, your new interim heavyweight champion. What were y'all thoughts on this fight?
Yep, that was Sergey's one punch that he landed the whole fight. Aspinall looked good, man. Dude is big. He's athletic. I picked against him, and I was wrong, man. Actually, the 3 top fights of the card, I was wrong on all 3. But Aspinall, man, I'm gonna go on a limb right here, right now. Record it, write it down. He will beat John Jones.
Okay.
And I'm saying that because his power. He's got power. He's got the athleticism. John Jones, he's the GOAT for sure. But what John Jones doesn't have is knockout power. And he's moved, John moved up to heavyweight. They're hitting even harder up there. I think Aspinall beats John Jones in 1 round.
Steve, what are your thoughts on this fight?
Well, I had faith in Sergio going in this fight, especially after he stung him. But especially watching him moving around, and he teeters on the movement between a light heavyweight and a heavyweight. It's not moving around, bouncing around, and how quick he is and how fast he can throw 1-2s and those strikes. I think definitely he can be a good contender to John Jones. I think, quite honestly, even a better contender than Stipe.
Yep, that's exactly what I said. After that, I was like, I don't even want to see the Stipe fight now. I don't want to see it.
Now John Jones, it's going to be a hell of a fight because we're not even including the wrestling and all that, and I have to analyze Aspinall's past fights to see how he's done with his wrestling, but definitely compared to a Cyril Gane, who's just a kickboxer and maybe doesn't have his ground game formed yet. Aspinall is a better, hands down, I think, better person to test John Jones into that contendership.
And Aspinall doesn't have the wrestling that John Jones has, but Aspinall is a very high-ranked jiu-jitsu guy. His dad is a jiu-jitsu teacher. So I know it doesn't exactly cancel out because we've seen John Jones beat plenty of fucking jiu-jitsu guys. But it's just Aspinall looked big, man. His power, I think he weighed in, like 262 or something. Like, that's big.
Yeah, he's pretty tall, if I'm not mistaken, isn't he?
6'5".
Yeah.
So, first of all, I don't think we see John Jones versus Aspinall. I think after this Stipe fight, John retires. But hypothetically, if John keeps hearing comments and sentiments like admirers, he's a powerful guy. He might come out of retirement just to face Aspinall, just to shut up the critics, because not to take anything away from Aspinall's win, because Sergey is definitely the highest level opponent that he's faced. I haven't really seen Aspinall do it against a lot of high level competition. So I think Aspinall, even though he's done, I don't know what happens if John retires. I'd like to see him against like a Blades first, but I don't know. Now that you put that interim title on him, a lot of things are going to be up in the air.
Yeah, because he got beat by Blades.
Yeah, but that was knee injury thing. But
that's right.
But the thing, like we talked about it on the pre-show, how can you have Stipe versus Jones when you have an interim over here. Like, in my opinion, Aspinall won that so decisively that you got to put him in there against Jones. Stipe hasn't fought in I don't know how many years. What was his last fight? 2020?
No, he fought against Ngannou. I think that was 2021, maybe even 2022.
It was 2021, early in the year. So Stipe's last fight was a knockout loss 2 years ago. By the time the fight comes around, it'll be 3 years at least. How do you justify putting Stipe in there to fight John Jones for the belt?
Yeah.
You can't justify that. And Stipe is what, 44? 41.
It's 41. I mean, you may not be able to justify it, but that's already what Dana White said is next. So it is what it is. Dana White already announced it at the post-fight press conference, 295.
We've seen him change his mind before. I wanted to see the Stipe Jones fight like everybody else, but now after this, I thought Pavlovich would have won that, and then I probably would have been more okay with the interim. But Aspinall, I think that they need to ride his wave right now. I think that dude's gonna go to the top, and Michael Bisping agrees with me.
I think he's probably going to be an eventual undisputed heavyweight champion. I don't think he beats Jones. He's just going to give him. I mean, Jones has faced a lot of hard hitters. Jones is not just going to stand there in front of Aspinall and slug it out just to appease the fans. And like you said, Aspinall's got jiu-jitsu, but it's hard to sub somebody on your back. And I just don't think his wrestling can go toe-to-toe with Jones. Ciryl Gane, he's no slouch with the knockout power. He's got knockout. Ciryl Gane has knockout power. We saw what happened to him. I don't know. Everybody has a puncher's chance, so if Aspinall caught Jones, it wouldn't be totally shocking, but I'm not picking against John Jones until I see him lose. Well, I don't think we see the fight, but it'd be intriguing as far as competition and level goes. That's probably like the highest level fight you can make in a heavyweight division right now, but I just don't think that we see it. And so talking about the loser of this fight, what do you do with Pavlovich now that he lost?
I don't think it hurts his stock too bad, just because you got like those main guys in the heavyweight division. So he's going to end up falling back down there, and he'll fight like I don't know, maybe a Tuivasa again or Volkov again. I don't know. They've all kind of fought each other and been in the same mix for a while. I don't know where you go with that. Curtis Blades, they did already fight like earlier this year. So yeah. I mean, he's fought Tuivasa, he's fought Derek Lewis.
He's fought
Rosenstruck,
Maurice Green. Yeah, you could put him against Rosenstruck. I mean, that's a step down in competition, but I mean, like you said, he's beaten Blaze, Tuivasa, Lewis, and those are like go-to names when you think about like top 10.
What about Ciryl Gane? Is he he's in the uprise?
Put him in there. Ciryl Gane just came off a big win, but put him in there against Ciryl Gane. I'd like to see that one.
Yeah, they're ranked 2 and 3, so why not make that a
eliminator?
A contenders match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that. That's the reason why I picked Pavlovich to win, because, like I said, he's fighting a higher level of competition, but it's the heavyweight division and anybody can get caught. But we'll keep an eye out on what happens with both guys now that division's kind of up in the air with that Jones injury. Definitely curious to see where they go next. But let's get into this main event, fellas. We had Alex Pereira defeating Yuri Prochazka, TKO, second round. So both guys came out with the kicks, but Alex dropped Yuri momentarily with that leg kick, which was weird to see somebody get dropped with a leg kick. I mean, those add up though. And then Yuri was filling out those kicks, and Wazi got the takedown when he felt those powers of the kicks, and got a few good shots on the ground. But Alex was able to get up, which I commend him for, with about 20 seconds in the round. Then round two, Piero went back to the leg kicks, and then they got into a firefight after that. And with about a minute left, Yuri was pressing forward, got caught with that counter right and a left hook. Yuri tried to panic wrestle, but got finished with those elbows. Definitely a very, very exciting fight. What were y'all thoughts?
I liked it. That was a fun fight to watch while it lasted. Them leg kicks, man. After like the second one, I was like, that's gonna be a problem. That's gonna slow him down, man. Alex, he needs to stay at light heavyweight. He looks good up there. Like you said, when he got back up, I was like, oh shit, he learned how to get up from that stuff. It's, that's a game changer for him. He even had the submission attempt and shit, which, he's a stand-up guy and throwing submissions in there now. So he's mixing it up a lot. I mean, the striking was pretty even as far as the count, but Alex just was landing so much harder. Like the leg kicks, the punches, everything. Alex looked really good. So I enjoyed it. Alex, I hope he stays there.
Steve?
Yeah, I was watching the fight and seeing, you see how Pierre, the different people he fought, and Jiri was the first person to hit him and not. It's like usually when you see Pierre fight, say like an Israel Adesanya, it's like a chess match, and it's like, ah, shit, the leg kick's coming. I didn't move. It's like they know something's coming before it hit it, and then it's like they nod heads. But this one, like Jiri, he was throwing, moving, awkward moving, crane kick or teep kick to the stomach, jumping teep kick to the stomach, and I felt like Jiri had a chance, but I felt like he also underestimated. And I don't know why he didn't see this in film. It's almost like a front foot, it's back foot waiting to just launch that front lead left. And that shit caught him. Didn't even see it coming. It's almost like it's playing possum, sitting back. Caught him with that. And my disappointment is, although it's a loss, you got to have Herb Dean in there for these heavyweights, man, because he's the only one who can analyze a fight and, give people a chance for who they are. I think you could have let him go for a little bit, but Alex Pereira is no joke, especially them leg kicks, the way he throws them. He don't have to even twist his whole hip. It's like he's throwing them and it looks like he's throwing them with tapping sparring power, and he's knocking these dudes' legs sideways and making them fall. Alex Pierre looks amazing at light heavyweight. Did Jiri shows some weaknesses and possibilities where he could have got him that nobody else put him in? I say besides Israel, yes, but looked amazing still.
Yeah, the stoppage, I've seen a lot of arguments both ways on the stoppage. It could have went a couple more seconds, but I think it would have been the same result. I don't think Jerry would have come out of it. I think it was done. So, although early, it was inevitable.
I thought it was stopped a little early, like Steve said. Could Pierre just finish them still, even if they let it go on a little later? Sure, but never know. I always point back to that Frankie Yeager versus Gray Maynard fight. He was done like 3 different times and ended up coming back and winning
in 2 of those fights.
Yeah,
it was the same thing in 2 of them. You thought Frankie was done and came back.
Yeah, and he went to a draw, and then he came back and won that. So you never know. So I know Prohaska was humble in defeat. He was like, "Yeah, I was out," but he's probably just saying that just because he doesn't want to look like a dick. But I think they could have let that fight go on a little longer. And you were talking about Dean, Steve.
Dean, say that again.
You were talking about Herb Dean. If he should
Oh
have been
yeah.
in there with it. I don't know, man. Herb Dean's been fucking up lately, so I don't know if I would have won it. What's the ref? Jason Herzog. I think he does a pretty good job.
Yeah, I think Herzog's probably one of the best right now.
Well,
Maybe
he was the
been,
ref.
I don't think so. If
was
he
that
was
British dude? Not I can't think of his name. Not Rosenthal, but
I can't even think of it on the top of your head. I don't think Herzog. I don't think Herzog was the ref of this fight, and if he was, then
I can picture his face. I just can't think of his name right now.
Mark Goddard.
Yeah,
okay.
Mark Goddard.
Who's the ref in this fight, Admire?
That was, I think it was.
I think it was Mark Goddard.
I think it was. Let's see.
Well, I know they rotate out the referees, but if I had to choose, I would just stick Herzog in there.
Yeah, it was Mark Goddard for that one.
Oh yeah, Herzog would have let them cook a little bit longer. But I don't know. I think Herb Dean's been doing better than he had been. Like I think the pandemic really messed him up. Where he was just, I don't know, maybe sometimes he'd stop it too early, sometimes he'd stop it too late. And Herb Dean, like 2000s, mid 2000s, he was known as one of the best refs in the game. But maybe he's gotten back to form. But yeah, I thought it was a little bit early stoppage, but I don't blame. I'm not arguing all out that it was that early of a stoppage. I mean, he kind of fell back. That's what kind of I'm like, okay, maybe he could stop. That didn't look good, but he still had his senses with him. But
I feel like he was still gripping his legs. You know, if he did, his legs went limp in the clinch standing up, but he was still gripping his legs. Let's just say it just came out of nowhere when he called it. But it was a fire. It's almost like fireworks. You think it's about to be a 5-minute show, and they only give you 1 minute. And it's like, damn, I wanted that to go on longer.
Yeah, it could have went on longer, but hey, it's the MMA business for you. And as far as Pereira goes, where do y'all see him going from here? Because he doesn't have that much UFC experience. Even MMA experience in general, but when you're a high-level kickboxer like that, that translates. But I don't know if I see him as a long-term champion, but I don't know. What are some names that y'all would like to see him with his first defense?
Well, I mean, I think you kind of got to throw him against Jamal Hill. I mean, Jamal Hill was on a good run, champ, all that. Weird injury. I think you got to make that fight, and that really tells you where Alex is as a light heavyweight, champ, or you're going to be able to see if he's going to have the longevity off of that, because you still don't know. But just in my mind, if you're looking at who's up there, I think that Alex beats pretty much anybody in that top 5, top 10. So I don't think there's anybody that's going to beat him. I think it would be kind of fun to see John Jones hold 2 belts at once. Could you imagine Jones against Alex?
I think he would wreck him.
John Jones would ragdoll him, but I think it would be fun just because the fight starts out standing up, and John likes to stick that front leg out. Alex is going to kick his leg off.
Yeah, it might be closer to the Thiago Santos fight, where I think that was the closest. If you would think to call any of Jones's losses when he had that weird streak, I think Thiago Santos got closer than what was it? Not Rodriguez.
Reyes.
Reyes. I thought the Santos fight was closer than the Reyes fight. But yeah, I think Hill is the one that makes sense because he's former champion and he didn't lose the belt in the ring. What do you think, Steve?
Definitely, just because, and hell, how Alex Pereira got shot up off of a loss. Definitely give Jamal Hill as soon as he comes back. That Achilles injury, I don't know how much longer he's got. Hopefully he'll be close to 100% so we can see. I heard a little shout outs to Israel Adesanya, and I don't know if he's might go back to middleweight. Israel is not interested from what it looks like. So it might seem like he might have to stay up there in the light heavyweight and fight up there.
That was the worst call out ever. You moved up a weight class, and now you're calling a guy out to move up to you. That was just weak. I didn't like that call out at all. The only other fight that makes sense up there for Alex is Jan, which he beat. He beat. I think it was a split decision. But that's the only other probably deserving person up there. But I don't know if I would even want to see that fight. But yeah, the call out to me was weak.
Yeah, maybe if he was champion, it would make sense if Israel was champion, but I don't see that.
Izzy was very undersized when he went up to light heavyweight. He didn't look like he belonged. So with Alex not having to cut that weight and Alex at full weight, he's got to weigh in at 205. Dude's coming back in there at like 240. I think Rogan mentioned that Alex puts on like 30 pounds after the weigh-in, like more than any other fighter. So that size gap between him and Izzy that was still very visible at middleweight, it's even more evident at light heavy. So I just don't like it at that weight at all.
Yeah, he was only like a 200-pounder when he went up to there, so I don't like that one either. But if Hill ain't ready, put Pierre in there with Magomed Ankalaev. Put him in there against a Sambo wrestler. Let's see what happens.
And I think Alex loses that fight probably. He probably does. Exactly. I mean, he's going to get held down a lot. I mean, what Alex has going for him is that fight starts as a stand-up, and he's going to get those leg kicks in early and try to slow down the mobility of any wrestler. But, I mean, these Sambo guys, they're just relentless.
Yeah, for sure. But we'll see what they do with him next. So the records, our predictions before the fight, Admire went 2-3. Me and Steve both went 1-4. It's the worst I've ever done. And Jay went 3-2.
Jay, he did better than all of us.
Fuck yeah, boys.
And that puts the record for the whole year. I am 25-18. Steve is 21-22. Admire is 17-26. And Jay's creeping up. He's 10-9. So
positive. You see that, Admire? Positive.
Damn. Hey, I'm making a little bit of a comeback, but I mean, it still holds true in anything that I bet, whether it's baseball, football, or fighting. If you bet the opposite of me, you will win. I put it in the 80 proof chat. I said, take Dern, take Sergi, and bet against Alex. I didn't think Alex had it. And all three. You would have made money if you would have bet exactly against me.
Yeah, I guess better luck next time. But that'll do it for us here at Haymaker Combat Sports. We'll be back next month to preview and recap the last card of the year, fellas, UFC 296. And for next time, be safe out there. Peace.
This is Haymaker Combat Sports. Hear it here, coming straight from the source. Only with the real, they ain't here to dress it up. Sweet Science MMA, you can get it all from us. Trust, 5 stars, cause it's live.